Good evening, everyone. Am I audible? Good evening, guys. A quick sound check. Great. Just give me 30 seconds more. We'll just wait for all of them to join in before we start this session. Today's today's session is about watching how we use the weekly market profile charts and then bring it down to the daily time frame and see what kind of a weekly settlement we can have. And then we will also have a look at the order flow charts of how we can make sense of what is happening in the market profile structure wise and accordingly prepare ourselves to take the trades. So you have on screen the Nifty weekly profile chart. This is the weekly settlement chart. So weekly settlement is from Friday to Thursday. So the chart you have on screen is from 1st April to 4th April. I'm just going to give a brief of what happened in the first week of April before we move forward to the latest profiles. So here we can see this is a neutral center profile on the weekly time frame. It has formed a nice balance on the weekly. And we have this prominent POC at 22607, which is also the rollover point of the April series. So when this is happening, we know that the inventory is building a base. And this kind of a profile, when you see on any time frame, the next profile has a very good chance of giving a move away from this profile. So what happens next? So once we completed this week, the settlement starting from 5th of April, which was a Friday, we were expecting that we can get a move away from this balance. So I'll just slowly take this, unmerge this profile so that we can see on a day-to-day basis what happened compared to the previous week's profile. So this is what happened on the 5th. The 5th of April, we made an attempt to move below this value area low of the balance, but we got rejected and we left a small AP rate buying tail. After which we did what we call the 80% rule. We went on to tag this rollover point. So here there was a very important cue which we got on this day, that the auction tried to make a move lower, but it got rejected. So once this happens, once one direction is rejected, the auction tends to move in the other direction. So this closed in a small spike and we were back to this rollover point. So the next day, which was the 8th of April, which was the first calendar day of the week, Monday, could be a move away from this value area high, irrespective of uh, what the news or expectation was. So as you can see, the 8th of April, we opened below this value area high and we left an AP rate initiative buying tail. So initiative AP rate tails are very important in market profile because they are indicating that some initiative player is entered into the market and it will tend to move in that direction. So what we did was we made a move higher. We made multiple range extensions to the upside and we went on to test. There was a FA here from the 3rd of 7th of March, I think, which was at 22756. So we went on to test that FA, failed auction. So this was a bullish profile, and as long as this was there, here we had closed right in the middle of this balance. So it was very likely that this imbalance to the upside can continue. So then we get the 9th of April, which is where we got that FA. So I'll just split this chart and even get the volume profile on. So here we can see we again got an AP rate buying tail. So this was indicating that they were buyers in the open. But we went on to make this dreaded seaside extension, and seaside is known to give us false moves. And this seaside not only gave a false move, but it went on to negate the entire AP rate buying tail and we got an FA failed auction here at 22845, which I think all of you must be knowing because it was posted by Shai also on Twitter, and it was given as a very important swing reference for the April series. So just to get the context back, what happened here was, although this was a failed auction, the buyers failed and the sellers took advantage of this situation. What we saw was into the close, the POC shifted lower. So that indicated, and I will also show these in the 30-minute order flow chart, because it will give a double confirmation of what we watch in the market profile charts. So what it did was it shifted, the POC shifted to the lows, indicating that the sellers who had entered at this failed move were booking profits. So for this FA to be active, we had to remain below this IBL 22751. So what happened on 10th of April was we got stuck in a very narrow range. So you can see we never broke below this 22751. So that means that FA was still not in play, in the sense it was not able to stay below this IBL point, which was the reference for the failed auction to remain in play. But what happened was, even on the upside, we have made similar lows at the three TPOs here. And what happened to the upside was, I'll again refer this chart on the order flow and show you how exactly we stalled right at where the selling had come on this day, on the 9th of April. So we could only make a high of 22815, 819, I think, and formed an inside bar. So far on the weekly time frame, we were forming higher value, but this FA had changed the scenario. The failed auction had given us a sign that this could be a short-term reversal. This could be a swing reference. So as long as this 22845 was not taken out, we were looking at a higher value in this POC of 22566. So this is what the end of the week was, because this was the expiry day and 11th was a holiday. So we then opened on the 12th. So before I move to the 12th chart, I'll just quickly take up some questions which have come up and take you forward. Yes, rollover point is the volumes, the max volume which come into the closing 45 minutes on an expiry day. So we take that as a reference, that is where the maximum rollover has happened, and we keep that as an important reference for the entire series. So based on that, we look at what is happening in the auction. So moving forward, I will just go on to the 12th of April profile, where we opened lower. And right here we can see that change of polarity happening. This 22751, which was holding, was broken, and we left an AP rate selling tail. So AP rate singles, as I mentioned, is an important cue, telling us that you can expect the auction to move in that direction for the rest of the day. So when we have left below the when we have left an AP rate singles below this value area of previous day, the PLR, the path of least resistance, is to the downside. And once we started getting accepted below this two, 22751, this FA objectives of 22660 was in play. The 180R was at 22660, and the 280R was, I think, at 22487 476. So we were expecting that 22660 to be tagged, which it did with an extension handle in the G period. So I'll show all this market profile charts on the 30-minute order flow also, so that we can make sense of how order flow complements the market profile chart. So this is how this week started. So if I switch it back to the weekly chart, if the weekly settlement which got over on Wednesday, which was the 10th of April, you can see this was more like a double distribution trend up profile, where we have a big zone of a big zone where value had to be filled in. So this POC was at 22768, the POC of the previous week, and you have singles from 22600 to 22662. So if we would stay below this POC, the weekly POC of 22768, the expectation for the coming week, which is 12th of April to this week's settlement, which is on the uh, 18th of April, we were we could make expectation that if it was staying below this, it would fill up this zone between these two low volume. So what happened on 12th was we opened right at this POC. We were not able to take off this POC, so that itself was indicating that this is going to fill up this zone, and this is what it did on the 12th. It filled up this zone, although we did not tag this lower HVN of 22566. We made a low of 22590, and once again we saw the POC shifting to the lows. So that was even in the order flow, we saw that the short sellers who had come in the open, I will show you the order flow chart of that day, were booking profits because the cot had gone slightly green into the close. But at no ways it was indicating that it is a bullish scenario. So on the weekly chart, if we take this profile into consideration, this is a double distribution trend day down, what we made on 12th of April. So this POC was our reference along with the VWAP. As long as we would remain below this, we were on for tagging this weekly POC, which on the downside, which is a 22354. And that is what happened today. We opened with a big gap down, and in the open we took support right above this weekly POC. But then when it made an attempt to probe higher, it got rejected at this value area, and then we went on to tag this weekly POC. So this is how we watch the weekly charts to make sense of what we can expect on the daily time frame. So I'll quickly show you the order flow charts starting from the 5th of April, where we started looking for auction to show us some cues, and we'll quickly see if this changes chance to being a bear. 5th of April was the start of a new weekly settlement where we gapped down. But in the gap down, we did not, in spite of we having a red cot, we did not make a range extension lower. In fact, you can see all these 30-minute bar were closing above the VWAP of the day. So when the sellers are not able to keep the auction below the VWAP, that means they are not doing a good job. And there is a very good chance of those sellers to get squeezed out. So you can see these reds never got a chance to exit because it never came down to that level. Then again in this 11:15 TPO, we got this big 2319 red, which was a 22552, which again was not given a chance. We remained above VWAP, and although the cot from the A period, but then when they were not able to uh, break even the VWAP, we can see how in the last 15 minutes the cot changed to green, and we closed at the highs. We closed even above the rollover point of 22607. So which I showed you in the market profile chart, that we made an attempt to move below previous week's value, but we left an A period buying tail. And then we went on to do the 80% rule and tag the arrow point and the POC of that week, which was at 22607. So after this, you can see what happened on 8th of April. On 8th of April, you can see the cot we have opened above previous highs. So obviously we are above previous value, and we are also above the weekly value. And we have got a cot of 5000 green. So this is a very bullish bar. And even in market profile, we knew that we are trading above previous week's value. And in the order flow, we have got a green cot. So this POC and VWAP of this A period becomes an important reference. You can see this 22670, and the VWAP was at 22667. So this becomes an important reference for us to remain bullish for the day. In the B period, we did test these two levels, but we left an RB and we left this buying tail 22662 to 22600, which was the weekly buying tail also. So this was indicating that we have to look for upside, and then we can excuse this C side because we don't trust the C side. But when in the D we made a higher high, which was followed by new highs in the E also, and you can see caught all alongside is turning green. We have 1,000 caught in this E period. So this is telling us the upside is going to continue, and we can look for more up move, the imbalance to continue. So it went on to make higher highs till the H period, I think, and where we got this big RS. It was a very high volume bar. This was the highest volumes of the day after the opening A period. So this was indicating profit booking by the buyers. But then the pullback of this was holding this VWAP. This VWAP of this J becomes an important reference because we have made higher value there on the weekly time frame also. So this VWAP becomes an important reference 22712, and then we look to remain long. And then comes the 9th of April, where we saw again some good reds in the morning, but we saw that A period buying tail. So again, it was looking like the reds were getting stuck. And then we got this seaside extension. Seaside being a seaside, it gave that retracement to VWAP, and till here it was all low volume swipe, so it was fine. But this bar, the 1215 junction, even for the week in Nifty futures, because this was not just an IS, it has broken VWAP effectively, and it has given us a red caught and on good volumes. 11,000 contracts is good compared to the volumes which we have got on this day on the 30-minute time frame. So here, what it has done is it has confirmed the FA here. We have also got an IS on the 30 minutes. So the 30-minute IS high is 22814, and the POC just before the IS is at 22824. So this 22824 becomes our order flow swing reference, and the market profile reference was this 22845, which was an FA, because we went on to close below the IBL of 22751. So this was what the order flow was telling us. But as I mentioned in the market profile chart, you can see after this IS, when we made these lows, the cot was turning green. So it was telling us that the sellers were booking profits. See, you can see this has got good green cot. So this was exactly the reason why we did not continue this imbalance. The neutral extreme profile, although it was not an ideal neutral extreme because it did not close at the lows, did not give us a follow up, and it remained above this IBL because we did get some buying and short covering into the close on the 9th of April. So that is the reason 10th of April was a close fight in a narrow range because both the buyers and sellers were trying to gain control. But neither of them, the seller were not able to break this 22751, and the buyers, when they made an attempt, you can see they did hit the 22824. You can see that NPOC line here, but we have got sellers coming in here. So they also did not give give way to the buyers. We closed in a very narrow range on that day with the POC at 22805. So we were having this 22824 as our reference on the upside and 22751 as the reference on the downside. Then let us go to what happened on the 12th of April, which was the Friday. So we opened lower, we broke that 22751, and look at the cot. The cot is minus 11,000. So this is surely telling us that all the longs which were there or have liquidated, plus you are getting some fresh sell signals. So this is where the perception changed. We were looking to go short in the market. The POC of this A period was a 22758. So this was our reference. And although we did not make a range extension after the IB was over, the initial balance 22681, we were in this bounce, we stalled right at this POC. And all through this cot, you can see we have not got even one green cot on the 30 minutes. So that was only indicating that the seller were still coming in and not letting the buyers take out this important level of the opening period. So once we left a pullback high here. The next bar, once it broke VWAP effectively, it was a no-brainer shot for us. It not only tagged the 22660, which was the 180R, this 22670 I showed you in the order flow chart previously. It was at A period POC of the 9th of April, where we started that imbalance on the upside. So that was the buyer reference which got negated, and exactly at the same place we got a IS POC. So this was like the polarity had changed, and now that the support level had turned into a resistance. So we went on to, so this 22670 is now a sell side reference for us, and we have left an extension handle at 22681, which is again a reference for this series. And we went on to close at the lows. So here, this I had mentioned this was a double distribution trend day down, and here we did see some caught turning green. We saw this 4000 caught and 2700 caught, but this was only the shorts who were booking profits. This was not telling that the the reversal is happening, or there is going to be a bullish seen overnight. Because for us to be bullish, we had to first take off take out this reference, then the VWAP of this day, along with the, this was the second 30-minute IS bar. And as I mentioned previously, we had 22828 as our reference. So POC before this IS bar is a 22747. So this would be one more selling reference for us in the coming week. So this was how we closed on Friday. So we were closing in an imbalance. We had negated this buying zone of 22600 to 22662. So this POC and this VWAP was our reference for the open today, but we opened well below. So if you see the order flow chart of today, we can see how they was red 2000, 18,000. So that is the reason even after open we went on to tag that low of 22364. And ultimately what happened was we did see some short covering, but we had also seen some laggard shorts which had entered. So all these shorts were forced to exit. And this B period, when it reversed the move and when it took out this POC of A, which was a 22429, all these shorts were forced to exit and we got a up move. But what happened in the up move was, this cot was green, and understandably because this is 50% of the red cot. So whoever the late shorts were in trouble, it was mostly them those who were forced to exit, and the sellers are coming back at this higher probe. And when we made that high of 2257 in the D period, you can see the cot is also in red. So this was the RS bar. 224992 was the RS bar. And if I show you the daily market profile chart of Nifty futures, you can very easily, cleanly see how we had got rejected. We had a 6-day composite balance in Nifty futures from 28th of March to 5th of April. So I have put up the daily profile chart now, and you can see this is that 6-day balance. So this 6-day balance, the value area you can see is from 22512 is the value area low, and 2265 is the value area high. So this up move which we got on 8th of April started right from this base value area low. and we went on to make those highs of 845. And on the downside, we left an extension handle right at this buying reference of 22670, and this 80% rule was triggered on Friday, but because the time was up and the market had to close at 3:30, we closed right at this 607 level, 22607 level, but it gapped lower, it swiped through this value, and in the lower open what it did was, after making the from the entry of this value area, this value area low was getting rejected, and in the order flow we saw, we have seen an is with red flame, and we can look for more downside provided this POC of 22450 from the B period and this VWAP of 22432 is taken out by the sellers. So it took a long time. The buyers were defending till this period, but in the G period when it so this was again telling us that the PLR is still to the downside and we can expect new lows for the day. And what would our reference be? Because this was the high 22466, which was the VWAP of the G period, and this POC of 22480 would be our sell side references. And although it made a balance for some time, eventually it came to the POC of 22354 today. So again, you can see how the order flow and market profile combine and give us such beautiful setups. And once they are in sync, you know that you have to take trades only in that direction. So this was as far as Nifty futures was concerned. In case there are any queries, I would take a break here and ask, uh, try to answer all the questions which are coming. So today what we did was we completed the 280 year target of 22476 from that FA, and then we have closed also below it. So Varun has a question. He's asking, if you when you use the term reference, what do you mean by this? Reference is what we take out. We take levels from our market profile or order flow chart. For example, it can be a value area high, it can be an RS of an A period buying tail, or it can be it can be a POC of a A period buying tail, or alternatively it can be a selling tail POC of A period. So these are references which order flow or market profile has left. And when the auction is going back to that zone, we will have that level as an important one, and we'll see what order flow is showing us at that level. It is not a blind buy or a sell level, but we'll again watch order flow and then accordingly take a trade setup. Vivek has a question: with the FA unlikely to be tagged in the next 2 days, T plus 5 being over, can we expect further downside? What are the levels? Vivek, from the FA, we have already tagged the 280R, which I explained just now, and we have closed below the 280R. So we will have to see what happens. In fact, today also we have got a fresh FA at this 2251.7 level. So as long as this 2251.7 is held and we stay below today's IBL, which is at 22364. So that will be our reference for tomorrow. And we can look for a 180-year target from 22517, which comes to 22348, which is already hit. And if we remain below 22348, the lower objective would be 22178, 22166, which is a weekly VPOC on spot also. Nagraj, I think we'll pertain to questions related to today's topic. So when we have a session on line charts, I will show you that day's example. We do use line charts every day, and we did get some good trades even today using those line charts. So any more queries regarding what we have spoken today, guys? So I would be happy to answer. Before quickly we can take a look at what the Bank Nifty futures has been doing on the weekly time frame and what could be the outlook for tomorrow's weekly settlement. So as I mentioned, now our reference for tomorrow would be this IBA level of today, 22364. If we remain below this 22664, 22364, the we can look for more downside for tomorrow. And on the upside, we will above this, we will have to take off this VWAP, today's VWAP, and these two selling references of 22466 and 22480. And then, as I mentioned, today's high of 22517. So in case there are no more queries, I'll just quickly move on to the Bank Nifty profile chart, and we will start with the weekly. I'll just quickly show you the 21st. This is the weekly profile, and this you can see structure wise it looks very prominent POC at 47881. So the outlook for the next week would be, if we remain above this POC, we will look for tagging this higher VPOC of 48152 and the higher references which is there, which is this AP rate single and this C side. So this is what we look for when we look at the weekly chart. And then slowly when we open the week, I'll just quickly split this settlement to the current week. So here you can see the weekly settlement in Bank Nifty started on 4th of April because the settlement is on Wednesday. So Thursday was where we started. And here you can see we have formed higher value compared to previous week's value, and we have taken support right above this weekly POC. So we in fact had made a D side where the Bank Nifty wants to move higher. So as long as we are staying above this POC and this weekly value, the probe is on the upside. And on the 5th of April, we made this probe higher. This was a trend day. This was a trend day up. We had an AP rate buying tail, and then we had an extension at a late into the day. And though we did see the POC shifting to the top, which meant the profit booking was coming in, because this was new all-time highs in Bank Nifty futures. So it went on to make higher highs till on the 9th. We made this C side. So I'll again show you the order flow chart of Bank Nifty, and we how we can so cleanly see when the up move is over and when we need to book out of longs and not look at longs anymore and look to enter short. So the 9th of April, although Bank Nifty or also left an FA here, it did not close below this IBL, and it went on to close in the middle. It was a neutral center profile. So on the closing basis, we did not get that confirmation of the failed auction. And what we did the next day on the 10th was we went on to make new highs. But you can see this brown tan colored band, which is the HVN, which is 49060. So this was profit booking, and I'll show you in the order flow chart how we could make that out, that the longs were all booking profit on that day, on the 10th of April. So this week was very bullish, the weekly settlement from the 4th of April to the 10th of April. We made higher highs on all days, and if you see the weekly chart, it was a singles from 48494 to this 48563. So this was what was the support zone, and we have this prominent TPO at 48960, which was the upside reference for the Bank Nifty to sustain above in case we were expecting more upside in the this week settlement. So on 12th of April, below this prominent POC of 48960 and filled up this zone. We tagged this weekly POC of 48687 and we formed what we can say is a long liquidation B-shaped profile. It has a lower base and a prominent POC at 48755. So this is how we started the week. So last week was entirely about the value. So we were bullish last week and we were making higher highs on all days. But this week we opened this POC. So it is a B-shaped profile. So it is telling us it is a long liquidation is happening. So it is not at all bullish. And what happened today was we opened with a gap down and we left this A period selling tail, which is telling us now the sellers have also entered and we are below this weekly value. So it has a very good it had a very good chance of tagging this weekly VPOC of 47881 and this VWAP. So which is what it did today. Even in Bank Nifty, the D period left a pullback high and it could not take off this A singles and it went on to spike lower into the close. So a quick look at the order flow charts. I'll start from the audio is fine, guys. Of Bank Nifty. So this is the 4th of April where we started the new weekly settlement. And here we can see how the higher open had caused profit booking and a lower probe. So we made lower lows in the B period and we went on to make a range cot was turning green 4500 green 1000 green and 2993 green. So this was telling us that the buyers were coming into this level and it was holding on to this POC of 47910, which it also took support even today. And once this happened, this failed range extension gave a move back to the highs of the day. So here value which was getting accepted on a higher level compared when we are looking at the weekly time frame. And then on the 5th, we saw some reds coming in. We saw the cot turning red. But as we saw in Nifty futures, it remained above VWAP. So what it was telling us that these sellers were getting trapped. And it went on to make new highs and it still continued to get sellers. You can see this was huge 5400, but it was not able to break this IBH level. So once we break above IBH, that becomes one important support along with the VWAP of the day. So as long as we are holding these two levels, the auction is still with the buyers. So when in spite of all these reds, they were not able to penetrate this IBH and the VWAP, we got this spike. This is a day where we can expect a spike to come in, which is what happened. And you can see when we went higher into the close, we saw 345 5990 5090 and then 1270 48490 and then this big IB bar we got on the 30-minute time frame. So once we get an IB, the POC before the IB bar, so this 48440 would become our reference along with this IB POC, which is at 48490. So on the 8th, that POC was tested, but then again we can see how the seller were still not able to penetrate through the demand zone. And then we again went on to make these new highs, immediately we got this IS bar which was held at this POC of the RB. RB POC is in alignment with this IB POC. So this is the reference. When we take it as a reference, we see what order flow is showing. This POC was a reference because it was the POC of the IB bar. Then this became the new reference because this was the POC which defended this IB bar. And again, this IS bar made a low right above this POC. So unless you get selling signals at this level, at a previous buying level, you know that those buyers are still active, and you will look to take shots with some thoughts in mind. You would be very doubtful of the shots because previous buying levels are holding. And then what we did on 9th, we retraced the entire move, we broke the IBH, and you can see how again we are holding above that 48594 POC level, which is coming from this. So you can see how the order flow is telling us unless you get selling signals coming back. And that is the reason we got this swift retracement from 48623 move back into the close. And then on the 10th of April, we remained above this previous day's VWAP, and we were taking support at VWAP on all 30-minute time frames. At no point we closed that the auction is being defended by buyers. But slowly what happened is when we made these new all-time highs, 49084 and 49085, look at the amount of reds and look at the cot. 3900 itself is a huge cot, and then we got this 12640 red cot. 12,000 red cot on 30 minutes is huge. It is huge by any standard, and this was very clearly telling us that all the longs were booking profit in Bank Nifty. And this was before there was no news still about of what geopolitical tension we were going to have. And we were, even though we closed, and we can see this 49060 HPN, which I showed you on the market profile chart. This was the overlapping POC of these two K and L periods where we got the highest caught. So if we take the last 6 30-minute bars, we had a red caught of more than 22,000. So which was very clearly telling us that this market is now no longer uh, on the upside because so much of reds have come in. And more confirmation came on 12 because we opened well below this zone and we remained below. So again, we took support just above that 48594 level, and we formed a narrow range normal day. This is what I had shown was a long liquidation profile with a POC shifting to 48755. And here you can see not much of buying which is coming into the cot. And today when we opened lower, we did see some good selling happening, which went on to make a low of 48077. And then again, we saw some sellers coming back in the BP rate. But as they could not hold on to this POC of A, we saw a quick bounce back to this 48320. But again, today the cot was red. So a red cot, and when you are forming lower value, only tells you that the seller is still in control. So we just need to patiently wait for the VWAP to get broken again. And then once the VWAP is broken, we go by the recent most information, the latest information the market has given us, which was this 48320, that we can use to stay short in this market. And that is the reason why we got this huge spike lower. We got an extension handle in this Bank Nifty at 48077, and we can see how we continue to make lower lows. And although we have got this huge green caught in the KP rate, it is more of profit booking which is happening rather than buyers who are coming in. So what red caught we saw on the 10th of April, maybe some of those have covered in this fall. So we got red caught. So it is not looking good on in Bank Nifty. We have a spike close. So we have spike rule which is into play. The spike is from 47932 to 47820. That'll be the spike zone. So inside the spike zone, it'll still be bearish. Below the spike zone, you can expect more downside. And above the spike zone, we will have to look for these sell side references in Bank Nifty. So this is how we are placed today on the weekly time frame. As we can see, we are way below this previous week's value. And if we remain below this weekly POC and break this VWAP, we can go on to tag this lower weekly POC of 47215. So this is how we look at the weekly charts to take probable trade setups and to understand the structure of the market. A quick look before we can wind up and take some questions. So this is where we have stopped today. This is the weekly POC of 22354. If we remain below this POC, there is a good chance of us going and testing these lows. And we look for probable downside VPOCs as next objectives. So this is how we are placed in both Nifty futures and Bank Nifty futures. So let us see how the Bank Nifty expiry goes tomorrow, after which we have an holiday. We have lot of news flow coming in because of the tensions between the countries. So every news flow can alter the inventory when we open during market hours, and accordingly give us moves in both the direction. But we need to be prepared and be watchful about what is happening on the higher time frame, and accordingly take trades. So I'll be closing this presentation, today's presentation here. And if there are any questions, please feel free to ask them. I showed you the Bank Nifty chart. We have closed in a spike. So 47932 is a spike low. 47932 to 47820 is the spike zone. So above 47932, we are looking for a zone of this 48077, which is an extension handle. So for tomorrow, this 47932 and 48077 are the important references on the upside. And then you have this VWAP of this pullback high in the E period, 48258. On the downside, we remain below this 47820. We are looking for downsides as seen in the profile chart. See, this is one support, 47779. If we break below this, we are looking at this buying singles of 47376 and this POC of 4727215. And so what we do is, tomorrow when we are opening for the settlement, we will look at the open type first in Bank Nifty and then accordingly take trades. Any more queries, guys? So that's it from my side for now, guys. If there are no queries, I think we'll wind up for today and get back to our work and get ready for tomorrow's Bank Nifty expiry, which is also coinciding with the Fin Nifty expiry. So it could be a eventful day. So let us be best prepared and be aware of what are the references we need to use. So thank you for joining in. And in case you have any queries, do let us know. You can DM me on Twitter. My Twitter ID is @Uttam Goel. You can also write to us via email to support@vtrender.com. So thanks for joining in, guys. Have a great evening, and let us catch up soon for the next session.